The QB dominoes continue to fall, ladies and gentlemen. Matt Ryan headed to Indianapolis with that horrible contract. The amount of dead money the Falcons are taking in is historic. We're going to get to that. He's traded for a third-round pick. He is the new starting quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts. My initial reaction here for the Colts, this is a low-cost option, veteran option. I really don't think, again, it seems like it's a stopgap. It seems like the Colts are spinning their wheels here. You go from Phillip Rivers, who's a veteran, past his prime guy, to Carson Wentz, who's probably not good enough. They didn't like him in the locker room. Now you're at Matt Ryan, who's kind of in the same mold as Phillip Rivers, except he is a little bit younger. You do have a good offensive line, but you still probably do need another elite receiver if you really want to contend. How much does Matt Ryan have left in the tank? I don't think he's got a lot left, honestly. I don't think he can be an elite quarterback anymore at this point. Maybe he proves me wrong, but with Indianapolis, maybe you look into signing someone like Julio Jones. Julio is old, but you're in desperate need of another receiver. I thought Robert Woods would have been a great fit for Indianapolis, and Robert Woods ended up getting traded for a 6th-round pick to Tennessee, and you just think Michael Pittman, Robert Woods, Paris Campbell coming back, you've got Jonathan Taylor. They still do need another receiver. We'll see if they can get one, but Matt Ryan, this has massive implications. He is headed to the Colts for a 3rd-round pick. And you guys, I've been talking about Matt Ryan's crazy contract. It's the worst contract in all of football. How does Atlanta pull this off? Well, they pull it off by basically eating a crazy amount of dead money. Matt Ryan's trade will incur a dead cap hit of $40 million for the Falcons, the largest dead cap hit in history by nearly $7 million. And what does this mean for Atlanta? Are they fully tanking? Are they looking ahead to Bryce Young, to CJ Stroud in that 2023 draft, possibly getting the 1st or 2nd overall pick? Well, we've got a rumor coming that they are potentially interested in Marcus Mariota. NFL Network saying, watch out for free agent Marcus Mariota signing with the Falcons after the Matt Ryan trade happens. So these QB dominoes are falling quickly. Also, what happens with Baker Mayfield? Well, quickly, let me first touch on the Atlanta Falcons trading Matt Ryan. If I was the Atlanta Falcons, I would seriously consider tanking this year. I mean, you think about the Calvin Ridley situation. You did re-sign Cordero Patterson. It sounded like he wanted to stay with Atlanta, so you re-sign him to, a semi-cheap deal, whatever. But there's just not enough on that team to really compete, especially in that division with Tom Brady being back. So I would really consider fully tanking if I was Atlanta. Getting Mariota, could he potentially be a starter again in this league? I think he would need a lot around him to be a successful starter. We've seen his name kind of pop up as a potential starting quarterback. Do they look for maybe a guy like Baker Mayfield? What would Baker Mayfield cost? And really, what happens to Baker Mayfield? At this point, we know Baker, it is public, record. His top option, he wanted to be traded to the Indianapolis Colts. Just guessing, my, hypothesis is Baker Mayfield, his best case scenario right now would probably be going to the Seattle Seahawks. You've got Tyler Lockett there. You've got DK Metcalf there. I would not suggest Seattle. If I was Seattle, I really wouldn't want to trade for Baker Mayfield. I've already done a video talking about what I would do if I was Seattle after they traded Russell Wilson. I would really angle to try and get a top pick, maybe even trade a DK Metcalf before having to pay him a massive $25 million contract per year deal. You could trade him for a 1st-round pick, get younger. But again, I don't know what Seattle's philosophy is. Maybe they think they can contend this year. Baker Mayfield is a really intriguing option where he had a really good rookie year. 2nd year was horrible, although he had terrible coaching. 3rd year, pretty good, although he had a great offensive line. And then his 4th year, he gets injured and plays injured the full season. I'm not saying Baker Mayfield's a top 10 quarterback, but if you've got Baker Mayfield with a DK Metcalf, with a Tyler Lockett, that is an interesting situation to look at. It seems like the most obvious one. Also, I heard a rogue rumor with Baker possibly going to the 49ers. Now, I don't know how realistic that is. And then, of course, the other layer to this whole saga, Jimmy Garoppolo. He had always been kind of the favorite to go to the Colts. There were reporters saying they would be shocked if Jimmy G did not end up in Indianapolis. And I guess they're shocked because Jimmy G is not going to be the starting quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts next year. They are still looking for a trade partner with him. Where does he land? Does Seattle look at maybe him? If I was Seattle, I would take Baker over Jimmy G personally, but we're starting to see these quarterback dominoes fall. We still got the free agents, Marcus Mariota possibly looking at Atlanta. Also, Jameis Winston. Where will he go? Maybe New Orleans, although it's trending more and more so like New Orleans probably wants to draft a quarterback. Maybe you re-sign Jameis, but you also want to draft a young quarterback. Matt Corral or Kenny Pickett possibly for them. And then also we've got the Carolina Panthers who are in desperate need of a quarterback, and they do have the number 6 overall pick. They are a team to watch for. Malik Willis, the young Liberty quarterback at that number 6 overall spot. They may just take him, not trade their pick or do anything. They may just take Malik Willis and view him as kind of their franchise guy that they pick. So some real interesting stuff happening. Also, Leonard Fournette visiting the New England Patriots. Leonard Fournette may be the most underrated running back in the NFL. Like, seriously, he is so... And this would be such a Bill Belichick signing. You need a running back. Their running backs, Stevenson, Harris, they're not impressive. Get a guy like Leonard Fournette who's a weapon out of the backfield. He can catch passes. He's a good, hard-nosed running back. That would be such a Patriots signing if they were able to get Leonard Fournette. Wouldn't it be good for any of our... It would not be good for any of our fantasy teams with that three-headed monster back there. Oh, all those guys would get like 6 touches a game with Bill Belichick. But in terms of actual NFL football, that would be a really good value signing for the New England Patriots. When I saw that, I just knew that that would be such a great signing. Under the radar, low cost signing. Leonard Fournette, what is he, only 27 years old? Still got at least 2 or 3 really good years left, you would think, although some of these running backs genuinely do get washed at the age of like 27. Ask Zeke, ask Le'Veon, ask Todd Gurley, right? And then just another thing I wanted to talk about, Urban Meyer. The situation with Urban, we know he got fired with about 3 games left in the season, or maybe it was about 5 games left, something like that, but fired mid-season. Former Jaguars head coach Urban Meyer was unfamiliar with star players around the NFL, including Deebo Samuel and Aaron Donald. Who's this 99 guy on the Rams? Meyer asked during the season. Oh my goodness. If that is legitimate, that is crazy. DJ Chark actually talked about it. DJ Chark talking on the record about Meyer, quote, "You've got players in fear they're going to lose their jobs. You've got coaches who he belittled in front of us, and I can only imagine what he was doing behind closed doors. I'm surprised he lasted that long, to be honest with you." So, what an unbelievable disaster. If he really didn't know who Aaron Donald was, you know the craziest thing? I 1000% could believe that Urban wouldn't know who Deebo Samuel is. Because it's like Deebo just came onto the scene this year as a star. But if he didn't know who Aaron Donald was, who's this 99 on the Rams? I didn't recruit this kid at Ohio State. That's what he's saying. I never recruited this kid. Where did this kid go? I never saw him. So that is a crazy situation. Also, possibly the top remaining free agent right now, trending to Miami, trending to South Beach. Yes, TERRON Armstead visiting with the Dolphins on Monday. If I was a Miami Dolphins fan, I'd be cautiously optimistic, but temper the years. Don't make a big commitment. This dude's over 30 years old. You want a short-term, maybe 2-year deals. Don't do a bigger commitment. He's too old for that, but in Miami, this would be good. Get Tua some protection. Get him a really good offensive lineman. He is the top free agent player remaining, according to many insiders and reporters. La'el Collins signs a 3-year contract with the Cincinnati Bengals. He could not escape Cincinnati. It was the first free agent visit he made since being released by the Dallas Cowboys. And the Cincinnati Bengals, we knew this was going to happen. They are so desperate and so scared for a repeat of the Andrew Luck thing with the Colts, where the Colts had such a bad offensive line during Andrew Luck's first or 5 years in his career. It ended up basically scarring him, and he retired from the NFL at the age of 30. They don't want the same thing to happen to Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, as a rookie, suffers a season-ending ACL tear due to a sack that the offensive line gave up. Last year, they made the Super Bowl, but the offensive line was completely patchwork. We knew this was coming. They were going to do what they had to do to get quality offensive line players. They get Collins, who's probably going to pencil in at one of the tackle positions. I'm guessing they're going to draft another lineman first round with their 31st overall pick in the 2022 draft, whether it's a guard, maybe a guy like Zion Johnson, or, I don't think Trevor Penning's going to fall to him at this point. He's probably moved up the board too far unless they trade up, but they will probably be taking an offensive tackle there too. But the bottom line here, Cincinnati desperately afraid of having, an Andrew Luck situation where you don't get him help, and then the Colts finally got him help, but I guess it was too late. They finally got a good offensive line, so they are loading up on the offensive side of the ball, and they got Collins his first visit, and they're basically saying, we got to get a deal done. We want you. We need help. We're going to get this done any way possible. You have to salute their organization for being proactive and saying, we will fix this offensive line situation. You'd think a team like Cincinnati, they should be able to take advantage of this window where you've got a guy like Joe Burrow on his rookie deal. Your cap situation should be relatively tame because your, star quarterback is only making a, rookie level money. He's not being paid $35-40 million like a situation with the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott, where they're having to cut guys like Amari Cooper to save money. You give out a bad contract to Ezekiel Elliott, now your cap situation is such a mess because you've allocated $40 million to your quarterback. Not saying you shouldn't do it. You should 100% pay your franchise quarterback whatever he's worth if he's a franchise guy. But that's a situation where they really want help along the offensive side. And just quickly on the whole Deshaun Watson trade and the Cleveland Browns thought process, guys, I have to give the Browns a lot of credit for making that Deshaun Watson trade and pulling the trigger and trading 3 first-round picks. I think the Browns took one look at Baker Mayfield and they saw average. They were staring average right in the face. And that's one thing I never thought I would say with Baker Mayfield. But you take a look at Baker's career, he definitely had a promising rookie year. His second year was really bad. His third year was good, but it wasn't like top 10. And he had a really good offense, really good supporting cast, and it still wasn't top 10. And then his fourth year, you could say he was injured. But I just think the Browns were proactive, and they said, listen, we could keep Baker Mayfield. A lot of Browns fans wanted Baker Mayfield for the 5th year. They were buying into the whole injury excuse. He got injured the second game of the season. But the Browns said, we don't want average. We want a superstar. And they got a superstar in Deshaun Watson. And I'm someone that loves retaining assets, loves keeping assets. But in that situation, the trade for Deshaun Watson, the one time I would trade multiple first-round picks is for a franchise quarterback, is for Russell Wilson, which the Denver Broncos did, is for Deshaun Watson, which the Cleveland Browns did. That's the one situation where I'm trading multiple first-round picks. If I can get a franchise quarterback for the next 5 or 6 years, at least in his prime, I'm going to make that trade 100 times out of 100. And the Cleveland Browns said, we don't want average, we want superstar. And they got a superstar in Deshaun Watson. We'll see how the possible suspension plays out with him, the NFL doing their internal investigation. And then obviously, but guys, the big news, Matt Ryan is headed to the Indianapolis Colts. It just seems like the Colts are spinning their wheels a little bit. Trading, you had Phillip Rivers, then you had Carson Wentz, now you got Matt Ryan, and next year it might be someone different. We'll have to see if Matt Ryan can settle in to Indianapolis and have a good kind of ending to his career with Indy, with that good offensive line, although again, I think they do need receiver help. You've got a team like Atlanta possibly tanking for Bryce Young or CJ Stroud next year. There's going to be a big tank battle going on between several teams, maybe a team like Houston, maybe a team like Seattle, possibly involved in tanking for those two quarterbacks. Also, Brennan Armstrong is another top quarterback available from Virginia. I really like next year's quarterback class. It's going to be really good. But guys, overall, Marcus Mariota, where's he going to go? Maybe he goes to Atlanta. Jameis Winston is still out there. What does New Orleans do? Carolina looks like they're leaning towards drafting a quarterback. So there are definitely some still dominoes left to fall when it comes to the quarterbacks. And then Baker Mayfield, right now I would say trending to Seattle, but we'll have to see. Maybe a team like Atlanta goes rogue and wants to get him, but seems like the most realistic bet for Baker and his best scenario would be to go to Seattle with Tyler Lockett, with DK Metcalf. And they do have a patchwork offensive line. Maybe it improves a little bit overall, but that would be his best bet in terms of having a good offensive year, trying to get that next contract. We know he's in that contract year at this point. But guys, that is going to do it for this NFL update. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.